This is the Widow Podcast, and I am Karen Sutton, the Widow Coach. I'll be supporting you through the loss of your life partner so you can find a more positive way through your grief. I want to give you hope after loss and to know that when you are ready, you can create a meaningful life for yourself with the help of me, Karen Sutton, and the Widow Podcast. Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me today. This is the last episode in season 2 of the Widow Podcast. I'm going to be taking a break for a couple of months, focusing on some other adventures, taking some time with my family. But wow, what a season this has been. When I first started this podcast, I wasn't entirely sure where it was going to take me. I just thought, do you know what? I wonder if it'll be helpful. And I really think it has. And in this season, we have talked about so much. I have had incredible guest speakers on. We have discussed everything from life admin, our wills and all that kind of good stuff, to sexual desires and widow's fire. It's all been going on. We've talked about our finances, our choices, dating, how moving our bodies helps us move through grief. What do we do if we didn't get to say goodbye? How do we heal trauma? So incredible, so many powerful conversations, so much for us to think about and get curious about. And, you know, when I reflect back on the topics and stories and insights that have been shared, I can see how absolutely this podcast supports so many. And I get so many messages. And so many comments just saying when things resonate or how it's enabled them to think about something in a slightly different way, or they've gone off on a slightly different tangent in the thought processes that they were going down that were causing them discomfort. And it's so lovely to hear. It's so lovely to hear, because all I want to do is help people find their way through their grief in a more positive way. And, you know, I just really want to start by saying, well done to you, well done to you listening to this and having the courage and the strength to not only get up every day, but to get out there and find the resources that are going to help you find your way forward. Because when we are thrown into this world of widowhood, we don't know what we're doing. We don't know where we're heading. We don't know who to ask for help or support. Most of us don't know anyone else that has ever been through something like this. And, you know, the podcast is a great place to start. It's a great place to really come and think about you, your healing, your journey, and how you're going to find your way. And for me, I hope it gives you a lot of hope for the most part, but also the tools, the strategies, the mindset shifts that you can implement in your life to help you take those steps forward. I know it's hard. It's incredibly hard. It's the hardest thing I've ever had to do. And I'm sure it's up there with the hardest things you've ever had to do in your life. So acknowledge how incredible you are in this, how amazingly well you are doing, and how brave you are to keep showing up for you, for yourself every day. We are becoming more resilient, and with each step that we take, we are growing around our grief. We are discovering things about ourselves that we never knew existed. We are having to dig deep. We are having to really figure out who we are and what it is we want. And what I absolutely love in my community is I've got my membership community, which is fantastic. I've also got my Finding Hope in Widowhood community. It's a 12-month program, and there are 12 modules. We meet every week with live coaching calls, and it's powerful. It's really powerful. And you know, from both my membership and my program, I've had guests come on to my show, and it has been so lovely to see. I've had Shannon and Wendy that came on to talk about the second year of widowhood, breaking some of the myths and the beliefs around that and the fears that we have around the second year of widowhood. I had Miriam and Alison come on to talk to us about parenting whilst grieving. Wow, you know, like, that's tough, right? My two were 9 and 5 when Simon died, and trying to navigate your grief and your children's grief, it's massive. It's absolutely massive. And then Moira and Claire came on to talk about being widowed twice. And these women are remarkable. You know, they come into my world, they come into my communities, and they are like rabbits in the headlight, like most of us, completely unsure about what they're doing, where they're heading, how they're even going to get through the next hour, let alone the whole day, the week, the month, the year, life. It just feels too big, too scary. But these women have come and they have done the work. They have showed up for themselves. They have pushed themselves out of their comfort zones, which has allowed them to grow and flourish and really grab life by the balls and create something that feels positive for them. Now, that's not to say they're all at the end of their journey. Of course they're not. That's not to say they have created this perfect life and they are at complete peace. They're still on that journey. And I think the journey is for life. Grief is now a lifelong companion, and we have to learn to live alongside it. And with every choice that we make, everything that we do, as we move forward, things change. Therefore, our grief changes and it evolves, and we've got to navigate all these changes and find space for our grief in our life that feels peaceful, without the guilt, without the shame, without the bitterness, without the heaviness, and minimizing the pain, so that we are able to remember our person with more love than pain. It is absolutely possible. And just watching everybody that comes into my world allow themselves to create time and space for peace, for joy, for happiness, for love, for connection, alongside their loss and their heartache and their sadness, is really quite a beautiful thing to be a part of. And I absolutely love it. And you know, whether you're in my communities or you're not, I think you're all remarkable. It does take such immense bravery, courage, resilience to keep going, to keep finding your way forward. However, I think it's so important that we allow ourselves to embrace healing and find that hope after loss, to understand that we are allowed to find joy and peace. Healing is possible. Hope can be rekindled. It's not an either-or situation. It's not that we're trying to rebuild something, a life for ourselves, so that our grief doesn't exist anymore, so that it's pushed to one side, it's forgotten. It's making space for it all, you know? And I want to help you do the same. And I'm hoping that this podcast and all the episodes and the inspirational conversations that have gone on here absolutely have helped you incorporate some joy, some peace, some contentment, whatever it is that you need in your life. You are able to go out and cultivate that in some way, because it is vital to your healing journey. We cannot sit in our grief all the time. It's not possible, and it's not healthy for us if we are wanting to go forward and live a life that can absolutely feel good again. Now, we all approach this, we all have different experiences, we have different belief systems, we have different upbringings, we have different people around us, we have different possibilities and opportunities at our fingertips. However, when you bring people together that are going through something similar, magical things happen. It really does. And I think one of the most important things that we need in our grieving journey is to feel witnessed, is to feel seen, is to feel heard, that, you know, people get what you're going through. And this is why I think listening to the podcast really helps, and being in my communities really helps the people in there, because we feel very alone in our widowhood, because nobody really gets it, and people like to try and fix us and find solutions for our problems. But grief isn't a problem to be fixed. It's something that has to be felt and worked through, and given time and space to be understood. So, you know, I think if we can find that for ourselves, finding a group, a space that feels safe, supportive, encouraging, inspiring, that's going to be absolutely brilliant for you. And when we think of what can we do to support ourselves, we come back to self-care. Now, a lot of the ladies that come into my group find this phrase, self-care, self-love, self-compassion, it's a bit of an ick for some people. It just feels so uncomfortable and just a bit woo-woo, and everyone's talking about self-care and be kind to yourself. What does that even mean? And I mean, it means a myriad of things. There is so much in there. And we dive deeper into this in my Finding Hope in Widowhood program, because it's huge. It's mental, it's physical, it's emotional, it's spiritual. It's not just about spa days and baths, although those, you know, that can be incorporated into it. But, you know, I think some of the basic things that we can do to support ourselves is to move our body. Now, you don't necessarily have to run marathons, but just moving your body. Grief needs movement. And if you can get outside in nature to do that, even better. It's so restorative for us. It really is. Just a walk, a swim, bike out, yoga, anything that just helps you release the grief from your body is brilliant. Talking, journaling, therapy, groups, finding healthy ways to express what you're feeling. I know not everybody finds talking that easy, so journaling is a great place to start, but also giving yourself time and space to rest, to slow down. Grief is exhausting, and, you know, we are trying to do everything. We're trying to do everything that we used to do in life, then we're trying to take on all the roles and responsibilities our person had in life. And then we're trying to navigate grief and build a new life. You know, it's absolutely huge. It's no wonder we're exhausted. So taking that time to slow down, make sure you're getting as much sleep as you can. And if your sleep is impacted, then resting, meditating, but also connecting with people that make you feel loved, supported, understood, encouraged, without feeling judged or criticized. I think, you know, that's one of the most important things for us, which is why joining a widow group can be so incredibly powerful. But also developing patience. This one was hard for me. You know, we live in a world where we are able to get pretty much anything we want whenever we want within a 24-hour window. And grief doesn't quite work like that. It does take time, and it takes a long time. You know, I've said numerous times that the early days of grief are the first 2 years, and that's tough. And that's not to say, you know, your grief's going to be the same. It's not going to feel the same in those first 2 years. But it's, you know, they're a difficult couple of years to navigate. They really are. And even then, it's not like everything's fixed. But just understanding that it takes time. It takes time, and we are working through it. We are doing the best that we can. And as we keep moving, you will notice how over time, those moments that it feels lighter, we're able to come up for air a little bit, they come more often, and they last a little bit longer. And you'll have those moments where you just feel like you're a little bit more in control. I think it's also helpful for us to look for the good. I'm a real advocate of this, and I truly believe that there is always good in our lives. Sometimes we have to dig a little bit deeper. We have to look that little bit harder. It's not always completely obvious what feels good. Now, this isn't to minimize or diminish your loss. And, I'm not trying to create this toxic positivity. You've got to feel your feelings. You've got to acknowledge the grief, the loss, and the pain that brings, for sure. But also allowing yourself to notice what is good in your life. What things are you grateful for? And they can be tiny things. They can be absolutely tiny things. It might be the sunshine. It might be a cup of coffee. It might be a bird in the garden. It might be the people around you. It might be work, your financial situation, your home, your health, the air in your lungs. They can be small things. But I think allowing ourselves to acknowledge those things, it just helps us, because we can see that it's not all bad, although it feels it sometimes, I know. But just take a moment each day to think, what is good? What has been good in my day today that may have brought me a moment of peace, contentment, connection, joy, happiness, whatever it is that you are looking for in that day. So, as we look ahead, I know it can feel big and scary and impossible. Of course it can. Stay present, stay in the moment. Just ask yourself the question, what do I need in this moment? What is the kind thing to do for myself with how I'm feeling? And trying not to jump too far ahead. And, it's day by day, moment by moment. And, grief will always be a part of your life, but joy, love, new beginnings, they are also possible. And just understanding, as much as you may not feel that right here, right now, what you are feeling right here, right now isn't permanent. This isn't going to last forever. It's going to change. It's going to evolve. And things are going to happen, and you're going to change. You're going to evolve. And new possibilities, new opportunities will present themselves to you in your grief and take you down paths that you probably never imagined that you would go down. But they can be amazing. It's remembering that as much as everything's going to be different, different doesn't necessarily mean bad. Good things can still happen to you. And it's allowing yourself to have that open mind and that open heart to let those new things in without feeling that it's taking anything away from you, without feeling that you are betraying your person in some way, that you are being disloyal. You're not. Your love, your grief will always be there. Again, it will evolve, it will change, it will adapt, but it will always be there. And we learn to live alongside it. So I think, the kind of overriding message from all the sessions that we've had is, whatever you are feeling, whatever you are experiencing, it's all natural. It is all a normal response to the loss that you have experienced. There is no right or wrong in any of this. You can't get it wrong. There is just your way. And this is why I love to have people on to share their own experiences, because it just really validates the fact that nobody does this in one way, that there is no right way of getting through grief. I know that's hard to understand. There are certainly things that we can do. There are a lot of similarities, and we all benefit from certain aspects of our grief that can support us. But it's different for us all. What works for us is different. And it's just opening your heart and mind to different ways, listening to the conversations that we have and thinking about what people are sharing and asking yourself, could I use that? Would that work for me? And maybe trying it. It might not. But this is the whole thing about widowhood, right? The only way we get to figure out what works for us and what might feel good in this new life that we're trying to create is by trying new things, is by stepping out of our comfort zones and putting ourselves out there, trying something new, doing something different. It might be great, it might be the best thing you ever did, and it will change your life. It might not work out the way you hoped it would, but that's okay. This is what we're doing. We're figuring it out. And if we're going to figure it out, we've got to put ourselves out there. So, listen to the conversations, go back and listen to them again. We've got all the episodes from season 1 there as well. There's some incredible conversations in season 1. And, it's just really allowing yourselves to draw from other people's strength and wisdom, but also listening so that it can validate and normalize what you are experiencing. You're not mad. You're not doing it wrong. You're not failing at this. You're doing exactly what you need to do, exactly when you need to do it, and it will take you to your next step. Meet yourself with that same compassion and kindness and respect that you would treat others that you love with. And that will help you find your way forward. You can't get it wrong. And it often boils down to having that kindness for ourselves, that understanding for ourselves that we're doing all right. We are doing all right. We're figuring it out. Some days feel heavier than others. And on those days, what do you need to help you get through them? And on the days that feel a bit lighter, what can you do on those days to make the most of it? Like if you wake up, you feel energized and hopeful and happy. What do you want to do with that? Use it, utilize it, grab it whilst you can. You are amazing. You are all absolutely amazing. You are not on your own. We are all here, and if you do want further support over the summer, whilst I'm taking a break from the podcast, come and join us. Come and join my membership. Put your name down for Finding Hope in Widowhood. The membership is very low cost, very informal, but a fantastic community to be a part of. Finding Hope in Widowhood, absolutely life-changing. 12 months of your life to focus on you, to take back control of your life, to really start to understand who you are, what's important to you, how you are going to rebuild this life for you. It's really hard going from a we to an I. And what I love to do is help people understand what life looks like for them by themselves. What do they need in that to help them feel fulfilled, to help them feel more peaceful, to help them find confidence and clarity and connection, and it really does help with all of those things. There are so many tools and strategies in there. We do so much work together. And I know people really have turned their lives around and made huge steps they never absolutely dreamed were possible. So please don't feel you have to do this on your own. Wherever you are in the world, wherever you are in your journey, I have something for you that can help you. And if, maybe it's not with me, find something that is for you. Invest in you. It will be the best investment that you ever make in your life. 100%. It's the best thing I ever did for me. And the ladies in my group say exactly the same. They don't regret it. They're so glad that they did it, and it's doing something today that your future self will thank you for. And it's taking that action. It's finding that courage to do that and to understand that you are worth it. You are absolutely worth it. And who knows where it will take you. So I want to say thank you. I want to say a huge thank you to all the guests, everyone that's been on the show. It really has been fantastic. And I'm so excited to have some people back in season 3, which I'll be doing, but also having some new guests and some new people come onto the podcast, because I think, it's really important to hear different stories and understand what else is out there, people that have written books and have their own podcasts and support people in other ways, because there's so much out there. Thank you to you. Thank you to you for listening to me every week. Maybe not. Maybe you've only listened to a couple. Maybe this is your first one. Maybe you've listened to, half of a handful of episodes. It doesn't matter. Thank you. Thank you for coming. And, if you are in any other groups or any other widows, please tell them. If you can comment, like and share, leave me a review on the podcast. It really helps me reach more people, because this is a wonderful resource for widows. And, I know so many get so much from it. And I think the more people that we can reach and the more people know about the podcast, the more people that we can help. Thank you so much to Catherine and Rob, who helped me put this podcast together and do the editing for me. This really is a labor of love. I love the conversations. It does take up a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of effort, but it is absolutely 100% worth it. And I couldn't do it without an incredible team around me. So don't forget, come back later in the year when there will be more episodes to listen to and to enjoy and to draw from. And just keep going, keep investing in you, keep seeking the things that you need to help you through it. Ask for help, continue with your own personal growth and your own unique healing journey. You absolutely can do this. You are doing this, and you are doing it amazingly well. Remember that every day. And, just take time to think about what you need. Ask yourself that question. We rarely ask ourselves that question, but take time, once a day, once a week, whatever you can manage. What do you need? What is the kind thing to do for you? And the best thing I think you can do is to come and join us either in my membership or put your name down for my Finding Hope in Widowhood program. They're amazing. And it's so lovely to be part of such an incredible community of people who get it. We laugh, we cry, we find joy, we share tears. It's all in there. It's all in there. And just having those really open discussions about all things grief and widowhood. It's so healing for us. So I'm sending you love. Thank you so much. Keep listening, keep sharing, keep reviewing, go back, listen to them again. You'll draw something new from it. You are not alone and you are amazing. And I will see you again very, very soon. Lots of love. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Widow podcast with me, Karen Sutton. If you would like to be part of a supportive community of people who understand your grief, come and join my free Facebook group, Widowed and Rising. And make sure you tune in to the next episode of the Widow podcast.